Spring has arrived, but summer brings no warmth this year. Something is spreading from the depths, creeping upward through the stone corridors of caves and dungeons. Carried on cold and damp air, the parasitic spores, unlike anything recorded in the naturalists' records of the realm, they have begun to bloom in the darkness below, and now they are spreading. Aldrich Fenshaw, a botanist located in the riverside town of Shiloh, first heard whispers of the anomaly through an unusual herb order, a group of adventurers returning from the lower halls of Obscure had brought back samples, strange, luminescent fungi. Unlike any known species, the colors were vivid, the structures alien. Aldrich accepted them eagerly. But before he could catalogue them, before he could preserve them, before he could properly examine them, the samples crumbled, not slowly, not with warning. They simply dissolved into grey dust between his fingers, leaving behind only a faint, acrid smell, and a stain upon his workbench that would not scrub clean. He thought little of it at first. Fragile specimens were not uncommon, so he sent word to the adventurers: return to the depths, retrieve more, but carefully this time. And so he waited. Later, when he found the group at the Shiloh Lion Inn, he almost did not recognize them. Pale faces, sunken eyes, skin dry as parchment. Their fingers crumbled at the knuckles, like old mortar. They sat upright, but said nothing, only stared straight into nothingness. The walls in the room themselves had begun to rot. The wooden boards of the inn room had turned dark and soft. The straw upon the floor was black, and the air smelled of wet earth and death. Aldrich left quickly. He did not turn his back, but ran on the moonlit boardwalk. Letters must be sent. By the following morning, a decree had spread across every settlement near the dungeon roads. Caution, unknown contagion. Do not handle specimens barehanded. Do not transport without proper containment. Report all sightings immediately. Within days, researchers, naturalists, biologists, and scholars of the arcane began arriving in Duskreach from across the realm, drawn by curiosity, by duty, or by the quiet fear that if this was left unanswered, it would not remain underground for long. Placards were nailed to posts, notices tacked to tavern boards and city gates. The realm required answers. Leading the assembled researchers was Duskreach's own head botanical scholar, Grendel Ashwick, a broad, no-nonsense woman who had spent 30 years cataloguing the flora of the realm's most inhospitable regions, and as someone who had very little patience for panic. She looked out at the gathered crowd and said simply, "The unknown is what men fear most, and this thing remains unknown. So let us get to work." Within a week, Grendel and her colleagues had drawn up schematics for reinforced foraging tools and sealed preservation satchels, equipment designed to harvest and contain the fungi, without direct contact and slowing their rapid decay, long enough for study. The tools were ready. The knowledge was waiting to be found. But Grendel's team could not descend into the dungeons themselves. They needed hands willing to go below. That is where you come in. The fungi are down there, growing in the dark, spreading further with every passing week. Common varieties, rare varieties, and things not yet named. Grendel's team needs samples, as many as you can carry, as many types as you can find. Craft your tools, seal your satchels, descend. But know this, not every mushroom will yield quietly. Some have learned, in whatever way such things learn, to defend themselves. The spores are hungry, and the dark has had all spring to get ready. The Sporefall will not wait.